All right, hi folks, coming to you from Missouri City, Texas. My name is Andy, and today I'll be doing some short ribs or some St. Louis style ribs from Smithfield and HEB. I like the Smithfield brand a little better, but I had some HEB that I already had in the freezer. So thawed them out yesterday. I have 3 racks of ribs, and for this, Steve's asked me to do a video, so I'll just show you what I do, and I've kind of taken some other videos, and this is what I found to be the very best for me, at least at my house. So I use a Louisiana style pellet smoker, and I use the wood pellets for that as well. So for this smoke today, it's going to take about 4 to 5 hours, closer to 5 hours of total smoking time and prepping time at 235 degrees on your smoker. What you're going to need to do this, if you follow these instructions, and you don't have to follow them to a T, but this is what I do. You're going to need yellow mustard, Uncle Steve's shake. You don't need these samples. I was just going to show them to you that he gave them to me just as a plug. Apple cider vinegar, a little bit of pineapple juice to go inside of a spray bottle. You're going to need brown sugar. I personally like the Texas style, so I found this brand, the HEB brand of the Texas style barbecue sauce, to be very good. I've tried other things, Sweet Baby Ray's, all different things, but if you're a Texas kid, you're really gonna like this as far as basting goes. Also, you're gonna need some butter, or you can use margarine. I personally don't like the blue margarine bottle, but I do like just straight up butter. And then obviously you're going to need aluminum foil, and that's going to get you set. And you're going to need a rack of ribs or more than 1 rack of ribs from HEB. And I like I said, the St. Louis style ribs. I don't personally think the baby back is as good, and so I pretty much stick to the St. Louis style ribs. Thank you. Okay, so we're on a prepping second step. Just as an FYI, this is the pellets I'm using today, which are oak. They work on just about any meat. So barbecue's going up right now, 235. Right now, what you're going to see is what I do to prep the St. Louis style ribs. So first thing I do is take the Uncle Steve's shake, and I just start kind of putting it all over this thing, all over the ribs. And this is more like a base, and I kind of use a lot because what you're going to see here on the next step is that I coat it pretty good, and then I take some mustard, which is kind of crazy that I use this much Uncle Steve's shake, but it seems to work out pretty well, and that's kind of like my seasonal. And then you want to put just a little bit of mustard in here to get it to kind of stick and whatnot into the meat. You want to get the edges and the sides and really get it in there, and you're not going to taste mustard at all later, but it's kind of a way to get the shake to stick to the outside of the meat, I guess. And I always do the top of the ribs first, or excuse me, the rack first, and then I flip it over to where I get the top second, because that's the side that we're gonna have on the grill up. So again, putting the Uncle Steve's shake back on the outside of the St. Louis style ribs, and these are obviously pork ribs, and nice and coated. And I'll just do one of these for you, and I'll finish these other 2 off here in a second. And then what you're gonna do after you get done with this, and you can see you use quite a bit, so I actually had to go back and get some more of this shake, and Steve was nice enough to give me a bunch of samples, spicy R, thick meat, which I tried on some steaks, and the gator shake, which I'm waiting to try as well, but currently I'm just using the standard Uncle Steve's shake. So now I'm gonna do the same thing again, and go back and just kind of pre-coat it, not too heavy, and then put the mustard in because you're going to kind of douse it around. Sorry about all that. Let's see. So it doesn't need much mustard, just enough to get a little coating on there. And I'll put the shake back on again. And you can throw these right on the grill afterwards. You don't need to keep them overnight or do anything crazy like that. Just whenever you're ready to cook, give yourself at least 5 hours of cooking time, and that should do it right there. So a lot of times you can go on the sides too if you want, but I don't want to manhandle this too much. So anyhow, I'll work on the next 2, and we'll update you in the progress when we get them on the grill at 235 degrees. set at about 230, 235. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the grill up. I want you to see it, and then I'm gonna put the racks in there. I've literally just done these 2 racks and then stepped outside. That's all I've done since you just filmed it. So anyhow, here we are putting the racks of ribs. We're gonna put it with the meaty side up, on this, and we can usually fit 3 racks in this Louisiana grill. So you can see the smoke coming off, and I'm gonna lower this back down. It's gonna stay at 235. I'm gonna set 235, and we're just gonna let this. We're just gonna keep them in there for a minimum of 2 hours. You can go to 2.5 hours if you like, and then after that, we'll come back and do another step, which is to pull them off and put them in tinfoil. All right, one thing I failed to mention is that every 30 minutes you're going to go out there and spray the ribs so they don't dry out. So what I typically do for this is just take a little bit of this apple cider vinegar. You can also use a little red wine, sweet red wine if you want, and put in there anything with a fruity flavor. So just put a little bit of that, and you definitely want to use pineapple juice though. So that seems to be the Hawaiian trick to this. So I add a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it doesn't take much. You shouldn't be running out of, even if with this amount here, you still shouldn't be running out of juice. This is all you're going to need at the most. So even if you just have 1 can of pineapple juice and you don't want to use the apple cider vinegar, that's okay. You can also put some apple juice in here too. Sometimes I add that. So anything fruity, but pineapple juice is a must. So every 30 minutes, go out there and spray the ribs. Okay, so it's been about 35 minutes. I've come out to spray the ribs. I haven't opened this yet, but come over here and look at this. The Louisiana grill's holding it right at about 250, unfortunately, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit on the Louisiana because it's a hot day, so I'll put it at 230 right there. I'm going to leave it there instead of 235. But anyhow, here we go. We're going to open this up. All right, they're looking good. They're browning, they're glazing. So I'm just going to give it a little squirt, nothing major. And about every 30 minutes, I'm going to come out here, shake this up a little bit, and squirt it with the pineapple and apple cider vinegar, mainly pineapple. Probably about 1/4, 3/4. And that'll do it. And then I'll close it back up, and I'll come back out in 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, and we'll do that for 2 hours or maybe 2.5 hours, depending on how you're feeling. And then we'll pull them off and put them in some tinfoil. So, okay, so it's been 2.5 hours. I like to use 2.5 hours. If you're in a big hurry, I guess you could use 2 hours. Anyhow, it's a little windy, so what I'm going to do now is pull it off. It's at 235. I've been spraying it down every half hour with the pineapple and apple cider vinegar. You can see the bones kind of sticking out of the bottom there. It's ready to go, and I'm going to pull off these 3 racks, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like on the inside of the house and what my next step is. All right, guys, so come take a look at this beautiful glaze on this rib. It's got the Uncle Steve shake all over it, making it that nice pink color, and it's just a beautiful piece of meat here. So we're going to take a half a stick of butter. We're going to do the top. We're going to do, and you can also use margarine if you don't want to if you want to use margarine. I don't particularly like margarine, the blue parquet. Some people use that. You put a little half stick of butter. You take just a handful of brown sugar, and you put it on top of it. And you want to do the meaty side up first. And the reason why is because you're going to flip this over. And when you do, you're going to want to have the meaty side down so that it gets all the juices. Now, the last thing you want to do is just a teeny bit of sugar, honey, excuse me. Put that on top of there. Now I'm using the extra wide tin foil, and that I've tried the other stuff before, and it just doesn't hold it like it should. So if you do this, flip it over, do the other side the same. Put a little butter on the back side. All that butter, all the juices are going to flow to the bottom, but the top will get some, so that's good. You want to try to get it on there without rubbing too much of your Uncle Steve's shake off the certain areas there. Again, a little bit of brown sugar, and we're gonna, after we get done with this, we're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna put it on the grill for another 2 hours and leave it in the tin foil. And this is how you wrap it. So if you have the extra wide, you don't have any juice dripping out, which is what you want. You want all the juice to go right into there, into the inside of onto the meaty side of the rib. So you want to wrap it up, fold it up like that, and when you get to the grill, I'll show you in a second, you're just going to lay it on the grill just like that, and we'll do that for another 2 hours. So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so now we take them and we take the tinfoil and we put them in there, and we put them in for an hour to an hour and a half at the most. Okay, so we've just pulled them off the grill after they were in the tinfoil. There's a lot of butter and glaze, caramel glaze that's in the bottom. So what I do is I get it close to the sink and I grab it with both hands like this, and then I go ahead and just drain out any butter or excess anything. And so what we're gonna do after that is we're gonna use this Texas barbecue sauce from HEB. You can pick Sweet Baby Ray's, whatever you like. I like this because I'm from Texas and I typically use, I like that taste. It's kind of a Texas-y taste. So if you like that, then you're just gonna slowly just kind of pat this on top of it, and you're gonna do the top and the bottom, and then we're gonna put the ribs back on, and this is gonna create a coating. We're not gonna have the tinfoil on top. We'll put them on for about another 30 to 45 minutes, and then they will be done. And this process will be over. Man, these ribs are looking good. They're falling off the bone already. You could pull them out after the first session there before we even put them in the tinfoil and eat them if you wanted to, but this is just how you make them competition style, or if you're cooking up for 4th of July or something for a whole bunch of people and you want to cook a bunch of racks of ribs and really impress your friends or neighbors, family members, this is how you do it. So you coat one side just like this. You use a little bit of the quite a bit of the barbecue sauce to base it. You don't want to overdo it. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put my gloves on and flip it and do the same thing on the other side. And then I'll show you what it looks like when I put it back on the grill. Okay, so here we are. We just basted it with barbecue sauce. Come take a look at what this looks like here. It absolutely is incredible. We're going to put it again with the meat side up. So I'm going to open this baby up, and we're going to try to get this on here as neatly as possible. It wants to fall off the bone, so you have to be real careful about how you do it. So there's one. We'll try to get another one on here. Hot. All right. And then we'll get the third one here in a second. So that's it. We'll put them on here for about 30 to 45 minutes until these start to glaze over, and then we'll pull them back out. All right, guys, so we're finally done. And I pulled off the 3 racks of ribs. I took 2 of them and put them in some tinfoil for right now. This is the one. They're all in there. They look like this. Nice glaze on top with the barbecue sauce. As I was pulling it off, it's so tender that this actually came off the bone right there. Let's take a look at the inside just to see what it looks like. Let's see what we're looking at here. As you can see, it's looking very tender, very moist, and it's exactly what you want. You're gonna feed your friends, you're gonna feed your family, and you're gonna have a great time. Thank you, Uncle Steve, and for the shake, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video.